Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wingcat Sports. We are about to go over Red Wing free agency. Yesterday was the first day of free agency and who they signed. They did sign a lot of players, not anyone too impactful, in my opinion, but at least fillers. But we'll start with our goaltenders. We signed Alex Lyon and James Reimer. Reimer will be a pretty good backup for us. Last year, he did have 12 wins, 21 losses, a goals against average of 348 and a save percentage of 890. He was on a bad San Jose Sharks team, so that kind of brings in those two to why those numbers are what they are. But he is going to be a capable backup behind Husso. I think he'll do well. And then Alex Linen, he had 9 wins, 4 losses, had a goals against average of 289 and a save percentage of 912. Reimer is only a 1 year deal for $1.5 million. Linen is a 2 year deal for $900K a year. So it's not that bad, I think, contract wise either.
No, I'm really happy. I agreed with everything you said. I think you can't really judge Reimer playing on a team that was worse than Detroit. As far as defensively, um, I think he'll bounce back, and I think, like I said, I'm expecting both of them. Alex Lyon played pretty decent. They started him against Boston in the playoffs to start out with before Bobrovsky took over, but. Other than that, I mean, like I said, who knows? That's what you want. I mean, you get these guys cheap, get to evaluate them. We know what Reimer is, so I'm kind of excited
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, our goaltending should be at least a little bit better, if not the same, next year, which is why that defensive help would be good for trying maybe look at someone else's offseason from who they didn't sign yet. Coming up with our forwards, our free agent forwards, we had JT Comfort. He signed for 5 years, 5.1 million a year. I feel like that's a little bit much be given somebody who's probably not going to play beyond your third line, maybe a second line player on our team, but really not too much. He did play all 82 games uh last year, had 17 goals, 35 assists, and the points were 52. They all have also all the players who were the forwards that they signed had a positive plus minus, so they weren't when they were on the ice they weren't getting scored on very much. Daniel Sprong, he played 66 games last year, 21 goals, 25 assists for 46 points. Again, not bad for a third line player, maybe second line, right? Uh, but nobody who's going to be super helpful on that offensive front, in my opinion. They're just filling roles. And then Christian Fischer was the other guy we signed. 80 games played, 13 goals, 14 assists, and 27 points. Again, another decent guy, but nobody too impactful, I think, to your team. Uh, Fisher signed a 1 year, $1.125 million deal, and Sprong signed a 1 year, $2 million deal. So some guys only being here for a year. I mean, if they play well, maybe they'll be back. But not, in my opinion, none of these guys are going to is that superstar that you probably should have been looking for.
They're not superstars, but they're all really solid players, and they all play 200 feet, and they're all big. They all have a little edge to them. I was listening to Christian Fisher's media conference, and I was really impressed with both him and Comfer. I haven't heard Sprong's, but Fisher sounds like a guy who wants to get on the ice right now. And from what they've said in Arizona, this is a guy. He's a great teammate, always high energy, and responsible on the penalty kill. JT Confer, we know him. You're going to have a Michigan line. Maybe put the three of them together. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? You got, I think, like I said, he was probably the biggest signing, JT Confer.
So far,
I agree
yeah.
with you, maybe a little too much, but maybe that's what they had to do to lure him here. But he brings a lot of intangibles. Could be a good second line center, if not. But I'm expecting Kopp to actually be much better this year. I think Kopp is battling that injury, so you're going to have a solid. I think they're using the Vegas model here. I hear that more than anything else. Instead of having the star player, you're going to have four solid lines just constantly rolling at them and playing who's ever hot that night, giving the minutes to the people who are playing strong and playing hard. And I like it. I kind of like it. That's going to be interesting to see if it develops the way Stevie Y thinks it will.
Yeah. I don't think any of them are like bad players. I just
No,
not what I was looking for necessarily for the offseason. But going into your defensemen, you did sign two defensemen so far that weren't on the team. You signed Hull to 3 years, 3.4 million a year. He also has a 21 team no trade clause for someone who played 80 games. He didn't get hurt, but he only got 2 goals and 16 assists for 18 points through those 80 games. In my opinion, that is a little much for someone with very little productivity on the ice.
reading about him, he's the only one I kind of thought was a big question mark. So they described him in Toronto as a 6'4" pylon who doesn't hit and doesn't have much offensive upside. But at the same time, why would Stevie Y, who knows far more than we do, sign a guy like that to a decent contract? I mean, that's a 3 years, 3.5 million a year. Is that what it is, or something like that?
Yeah. The one thing that was
Um,
with him too, he had a positive plus minus. So he has to be doing something
right.
right.
He plays on a great team. He plays on a
So
really good team.
and that was the
Um,
only positive I saw. He doesn't get hurt because he played all 80 games. He played 80 games, so he didn't get hurt
and we also
last year.
know that the Toronto media, as far as hockey goes, is a lot like the New York media for most everything else. They're very critical. The fan base is very critical. Uh, he had defensive lapses, but Steve must have saw something in him. I mean, he's big, and I'm hoping that maybe a lot like Mata, he, kind of finds his game again, or
I
find,
The one thing
becomes the
I
player
don't
we hope he is.
fully get about his contract, like if the money is the money, whatever, 3.4 mil, probably overpaid, but that is what it is. The 21 team no trade clause
I,
in his contract.
yeah, what the freak is that?
That is something I know. I saw that somewhere, and I was like,
And we
"What?
weren't
What?
on it,
No, no,
obviously.
no." He has a that's in his contract. He has a 21 team no trade clause.
Oh, for us, okay. I was like, I
Why?
didn't think we'd be on that one.
Why is he signing a 21 team no trade clause with him? I
I,
have no idea
that
for a
makes
player
no
with that
sense.
productivity. But moving on to the other guy we signed, which I did mention him in our free agent video before, Shane Gostisbehere. I did say that he wouldn't be a bad guy to go after for the defensive line, and we went after him and we signed him to a 1 year, $4.1 $25 million deal. He played 75 games last year with 13 goals, 28 assists, and 41 points. Not bad for your defensive line. I think he will help our defense, whether he's on the first line or second line. We will see.
Right.
But I do think that will help our defense.
He'll certainly quarterback at least one of the power play units, I would think.
Yeah.
How did he compare with our better defensemen? I mean, point wise.
I did not do that much research into that, but
Man. Okay.
I'm
I think he's up there.
I think he is up there though. He is someone who's more productive than what probably because we didn't lose anybody on our defensive line. So you added to what we already did.
Right.
Right. I don't think Sherratt got that many goals or points last year. I don't think Sider would be the only one, probably relative to probably his point scale from
Right.
last year. When I looked at our cap space after all the deals were done, we still have about 10, 11 mil left because we did re-sign Matt Luft, Gustav Lindstrom, and we actually did sign Klim Kostin
Who
to a
I'm
deal too.
really excited to see play. He's another guy, big, physical, got a chip on his shoulder, far more penalty minutes than any Red Wing
Yeah.
had last year. Maybe we'll actually get to see a few fights this year, which I'm always for. You got to have a bit of an edge. You got to have some dirty players. You got to have some guys people fear playing against. I'm not saying that guy puts fear, but at least far more than anybody on our team.
At least a little bit more aggressive. We did cut Yamamoto literally the day after we traded for him. So it basically was a Kostin deal that you got $500K extra you have to pay for future considerations. But we'll see what ends up happening. There is about $18 million leaving the cap after this year. So that's about how much wiggle room we're going to have looking into next year with their whatever is
So
coming back. Because I know this was a low free agent market. They could be trying to plan for next year too. So
right,
with all these 1 year deals.
right. I mean, it's very hard because we've just been waiting so long.
Yes.
And um, I've gone back and forth, and sometimes I blame Eisman probably maybe a little more than I should. Maybe I don't blame him enough. I don't know. I certainly don't like the only problem I have with Eisman is this idea that this, whether he's saying it for effect and really believes it or not, um, we ex- there is a time thing to this. I mean, we expect these guys to get better, a lot better. They were 12 points out of the playoffs this year, so that's 6 games. Do I expect them to be 6 games better this year? Yes, I do. So they should be right there on the fringe of the cup. And if they're not going into the playoffs, they better be right there.
Yeah, they need to be a little bit. I don't know how much better they have gotten with these signings. Your defense might be slightly better. Your goaltending is slightly better, I think, with Reimer as your backup and Lyon basically being your third string. Your offense, though, I don't know. I don't know if you made it better. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's better. Nothing really has stuck out to me to look like it is better. Is it more rounded now? Probably yes.
Yes.
I would say it is more rounded out, but I don't know if that is better.
Are we more physical? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Are we more like a playoff team? Yes. Um, I also expect, like I said, we're hoping guys like Raymond, Bergeron, that these guys make a leap uh, and start putting in 25 to 30 goals or close to. We expect these guys to put the puck in the net. This is Zadina's last chance, if he gets any chance at all.
He hasn't been traded away yet.
We have a lot of players. And the thing is, too, is what are they going to be doing with Casper? What are they going to be doing with Soderblom? Is these guys going to spend another year down in Grand Rapids? They may. They're young. But we kind of were all kind of hoping to see them this year. At least Casper, I think we were all kind of excited that he was going to get checked. Rasmussen. We were. I was looking at some kind of strange lines that they were putting out there for this, and it was kind of interesting. Um, the projected lines, I guess, somebody put out there were Larkin, Raymond, and Fabry, which I think is ridiculous because I don't think Fabry's going to be on this team.
Fabry would be your third, maybe your second line with how the team's made.
So.
Your first line could consist of Raymond, Larkin, Kopp. That would probably be what my first line is at the moment. You'd have Berggren. Maybe if you want to bring up Casper, have him there, right? And Sprong or Comper. Comper probably go there. And then you're probably going to have Sprong, Fisher, and whoever else is left.
Right. That'll be an interesting debate. We'll make this for another video. We'll put in our projected lines.
We still got time too, right? That nothing has happened as making of this video besides the moves that I have said, but they still got about, again, 10 million of cap left. That's still 2, maybe 3 players or 1 big guy, and right? We can see what happens.
You got Rasmussen. Like I said, I'm coming back this year. He is a big player on that third and fourth line. Physical. He adds a punch. I mean, you need that guy. He was doing well. And this place has him between Kostin and Zadina, another guy I don't think that will be around.
He's got a third, fourth line. Zadina, this is his last chance to prove something, but also he could be a part of a trade. There's nothing saying that a trade for the Brinket couldn't still happen or anybody else, that one guy from Philadelphia, Konstanty. There's no reason why that can't happen still. It's just going to cost you more prospects than draft picks at this point, unless you're going to give up next year's draft picks, and they're okay with that. And I don't know if Ottawa would be or Philadelphia would be.
Listen, I think a great fourth line would be a Rasmussen, that Kostin, and that Fisher.
But we still got
big guys, big high energy guys. Let's go after them. Let's go at them. And that's what you want. We need a true grind line. Not that that's going to. I'm not trying to say that that's going to propel us, but that's always a great thing to have. Is have a line that people don't like to play against. And we don't have that.
It certainly is going to be a little bit more interesting next year with the moves right? A lot of this might test people's patience more with Eiserman, exactly with what he's doing, especially after them signing Hall.
Right.
Right. They're probably like, well, who?
That is
why?
the only real head scratcher to me. I just don't know, and we'll see. Like I said, I leave it up to him and see what these guys do. I think his free agents um, did well last year. The ones he signed,
Yep.
So let's see what happens.
Yep. And we'll see what goes on, right? I still have a little bit of faith in him. I'm not, but I have questioned Eiserman from now on. But with that being said, right, leave a like, share the video, comment, right?
Go Wings.
All that fun stuff. Leave a like I said. And until next time, see everybody
Go
soon.
Wings.